So we're going to continue with the sugya of Matan Torah. You know what sugya is? Who knows what the word sugya is? It's a word that's used when you talk about Gemara. You say, what's the sugya? What is the sugya we're going to be learning today? Topic. Every Gemara has a topic. And your chassan will be very proud, surprised that you actually know the word sugya. S-U-G-A, S-U-G-I-A, sugya, which means in Aramaic, a topic, a subject, a topic. And the subject of today is about, of course, Matan Torah, since we're heading to Shavuos. I just want to mention something before we start. Two things. Number one, the Rebbe says in the Sivan, volume 13, at the end of the volume, talks about the fact that on the second day of Sivan, which was yesterday, we were given a special compliment, praise of how special we are. Shem said we are Mamleches Kohanim, kingly priests. Kohanim means a Kohen. That every single Jew, says the Baal HaTuri in one of the commentaries on the Chumash, that every single Jew is not only referred to as a Kohen, which means every man, every woman, every child, but a Kohen Gadol, like a high priest, having that level of holiness. Yet there's also, the Rebbe quotes from the Maggid from Mizrich. The Maggid was the predecessor of the Alter Rebbe, as we all know, Mizrich Maggid, and he says that there's also another meaning of Kohanim. Kohanim can also mean a Sar. Sar means a dominant figure. Every country in the world, including America, has a spiritual, an angel who's called a Sar. That angel has a connection to the president or king in this country. The Jewish people were given the power, Mamleches Kohanim, to actually rule over, to become kings and have an effect, an impact on the country, on the Sar Shel Maila. We have sometimes the Sar of Mitzrayim. And in doing so, the Jewish people, were given the power to control the world. Thank you. Oh, you have Rocha Kodesh, I see. I did not want a coffee.
You asked for that last time, so I thought good chance.
I hit the target. I'm very tired. Thank you. Why are you sitting so far? I don't bite. I don't bite. Kindle, my dear children, sit down. Make yourself comfortable. You hear what the Maggid says? Atem tiyuli, you shall be for me a kingly priest. King means kings to rule over the priests, but priests are not Kohanim, according to the Maggid. It means rulers, non-Jewish rulers, they and their counterpart on high. By having dominance over their counterpart, over their spiritual counterpart in the high heaven, we can rule and change the thoughts and plans of the leader of the country through our adherence to Torah and mitzvahs. And then the Rebbe says, to the extent that if we decree that Hashem shall do this, or even if God decrees not such good things, we could nullify it. We have that power. So the Rebbe says further, we also find that when it comes to chinuch, there's a statement in Gemara. The person teaches the child of parents who are not religious, who don't know anything. That person has a special schus, a special merit, a special privilege, that you can undo God's decrees, and whatever you want, God will fulfill your wish. Two things. Number one, if you decree that such and such should happen, Hashem will comply with your wishes. And likewise, if God forbid there's a decree against you, or against maybe not against you, against other people also, your power is not equal to every other Jew. So whoever teaches Torah to a child doesn't have to mean a child in years. It can mean anyone who doesn't know much because they have no Jewish upbringing. It's as if you gave birth to that child, if you fathered or mothered that child, and as a result, you have special powers that are given that no one else has. But the Rebbe says all this comes from Hashem pronouncing us as kings over the Sarim. The Kohanim means Sarim, the non-Jewish leaders.
Were you saying, like, for both Shavuos to educate their parents? Did I catch
Not
that?
the parents, no. That's not a good, that's an exception. Educate other children or teenagers that you know that do not know much, but they're open to listen. If they're not open to listen, you can probably make it worse. If they're open to hear, they're willing to hear, by you teaching them, you get much more than you think. It's not just you're teaching them. Hashem gives you a special power that you're filled, your prayers are heard. Kol ha-melamed es ben chaveri am ha'aretz, the actual language. Whoever teaches their friend or their fellow student who happens to be a child of parents who know nothing about Judaism, they're not observant, or they even are, but they know nothing, they can't teach their children, and you take time out, even though you're also busy with your own personal things, you take time out to teach that child. Again, child doesn't have to mean a child, a 6-year-old or 8-year-old, even an adult. But that person didn't have any Jewish upbringing or Jewish education, and you compensate for that lack of education. You have special powers. All that began on Beis Sivan, 3 days before the Torah was given, or 4 days before the Torah was given. Yesterday we commemorated this day when Hashem gave us the power to rule the world. Yes, the Jews can rule the world. We see what's happening. The whole world talks about us. The entire world is focused on a little Israel. You fight a war, every little thing, they with a magnifying glass. What are we doing here? Civilians are hitting our head. It's unbelievable. You have to feed the enemy. You have to feed them, make sure they don't starve. Well, who does this? Such high standards. Because they sense the Jews are different. We are a unique nation. We have to, double standards, way double standards. We have to be perfect. You can't win wars. You can't win a war unless only the perpetrator, only the terrorists are the ones. You can't kill one person, even if it's by, it's just unbelievable. What they expect from us. Only the Hamas. Yeah, they're bad, but don't touch any civilians. And civilians are hiding. They're hiding. They're used as human shields. They're hiding in houses. They walk in the streets disguised as regular civilians, the Hamas terrorists. And they have booby traps every other house. They have tunnels. The world out there has no understanding of what's going on, the fighting of the war, but it's just that they look at the Jewish people as they're not allowed to finish winning wars, especially if you kill someone besides the terrorists. And everything has to be proportionate, the word proportionate. As the English speak over there, have brains that, I don't know, the brains are shut. They're very open-minded. They're so open-minded that their brains fell out. These people are just so contradictory, make no sense. Israel has a right to defend itself. I don't want to get carried away with this. Israel has a right to defend itself. It doesn't have a right. It has an obligation to defend itself, not a right. As if, we have to ask permission to defend ourselves. We don't have a right. We have an obligation to defend ourselves. Yet, and the terrorists are horrible and they're dangerous. We wish that we can get rid of them. So if you don't put out the fire 100%, but 90%, the fire will spread. If you're in the middle of a surgery and you don't finish the surgery, what happens to the patient? You know what happens to the patient. You can't stop in the middle. Oh, listen, we did it good. We're so far so good. We'll take a rest. The next week we'll finish. If you do that, the patient doesn't end up living. So this is an operation, a surgery, and there are things that happen during a war. But the Jews are the topic, front line, every single newspaper there on the front page. Every little thing we do, everyone notices, like a magnifying glass. Every little thing, you make one little mistake, magnified a millionfold. One more thing I want to share with you before we go to the actual Gemara that we're going to learn. And that is, when the Jews answered Nasa before Nishma, we were compared to apples. But strangely enough, what's the comparison? Nasa means mitzvahs. Nishma means Torah. Apples, says the Gemara, is a fruit. And the leaves, this is strange because it's not true, the leaves of an apple, usually the leaves come before the fruit. But by an apple, the fruit comes before the leaves. Really? I don't know which apple you're talking about. Let's assume that's true. What do leaves represent? What do fruits represent? The fruits represent mitzvahs. They're the ultimate goal, to do the mitzvah. In order to know how to do the mitzvah, we have to learn. So learning is like believe that come before usually. But the Jewish people didn't say we will learn and then we will do. They said we will do first. So therefore, they're compared to the apple where the fruits come before believes. Tosfos asks, well, what kind of apple is that? I've never seen an apple that has this characteristic. A leaves go. So he says it doesn't mean an apple. Sometimes an esrog is called an apple. Here's where the famous myth, people think that the Eitz Hadas, tree of knowledge, was an apple tree, because it says tapua, it was an esrog tree, according to many. Those who say tapua, they didn't mean an apple, they meant an esrog, which is compared to an apple sometimes. It looks like an apple, and sometimes it has a look of an apple. An esrog stays on the tree, the fruits stay on the tree before the following season of growth. The fruits stay on the tree, and the fruits are on the tree before the new season, which begins with the tree leaves. So an esrog does have that quality where the fruit is there before the leaves. Now, the Gemara we're learning today is going to be what is the reason why Har Sinai was called Har Sinai? What does that signify? A very important answer amongst many that the Gemara is going to give. And then we're going to get to the famous Gemara where Yitzchak is going to be singled out as the hero of the three forefathers. Usually Avram Avinu, he was the first. He's a pioneer. Avram is special. He's the first. Yaakov, in a way, is also the first. Because thanks to Yaakov, whose name is Yisrael, we're all called Yisrael. B'nai Yisrael, B'nos Yisrael. The Jewish people the nation began from Yaakov. All his children were tzaddikim. Not the case with Avram and Yitzchak. What about Yitzchak? Where is Yitzchak special? So we'll get to the Gemara that mentions where all the Jews will say that in the future, Yitzchak, you're the only one who stood up for us. Not Avram and not Yaakov. And Hashem will also agree with him. Avram, Yaakov, Yitzchak, you're my man. You ever hear that Gemara? You heard of the Gemara? You did? Where did you hear about it? Okay, but here we're going to see the Gemara inside, the source, not just the Rebbe quoting it. The Rebbe got it from the Gemara over here. Okay, so it's page 88b in Tractate Shabbos, the Sechet Shabbos, where the Gemara is going to be asking the question. Take a look at page 2. Page 1 is the Hebrew, is the Aramaic. Yeah, so page 2 is where we're going to start. I have it underlined. On the left side of the page, you'll see a line. Yeah? Mara records a discussion concerning Mount Sinai. Why was it called Sinai? Or is that the real name? Or maybe it has a different name. So we're going to discuss that. One of the rabbis asked Rav Kahana, not Meir Kahana. I don't know who Meir Kahana was. Rav Kahana. Kahana is his name, not his family name, his first name, Kahana. Mishmielach have my Har Sinai. Have you ever heard what the meaning of Har Sinai is? I'm interested to know where's the source of this etymology, Sinai. Why was it called by that name? Amarle, he says to him, I'll tell you why. It was a mountain, Shenasu bo Nisim li Yisrael. The mountain where miracles, Nisim, were performed to the Jewish people. So Sinai, Sinai and Nisim kind of alike. What kind of Nisim? What kind of miracles happened? Where are the miracles? Every Jew passed away and resurrected. That's a pretty good miracle. Just amazing. And the Rebbe says even Moshe Rabbeinu also passed away and was revived. It's hard to say that Moshe lost out on that schus because it was a tremendous, it was close on effort. Their souls expired in ecstasy. It wasn't just, cool. It was a death, a kiss of death. But they came back and they witnessed what no one else witnessed. This was their madrega. What they witnessed was higher than Moshe's normal level of prophecy. And Moshe was the greatest prophet that ever lived. So much so that even Moshe passed away because he couldn't take it. And the miracle was they came back. Their souls were brought back to their bodies. But the Gemara says, I hear you, but it doesn't fit. If that's the case, it should be called Har Nisai, not Har Sinai. Har Nisai. It's an S, right? Nisai, not Sinai. I don't like the answer. So the Gemara says, the rabbi objects, then it should be called Mount Nisai, not Sinai. Like Nisai, it sounds like Nisim. Why is it called Sinai? Ella, rather, you're right. It's called Sinai for a different reason. The mountain that became a good omen for the Jewish people for all generations to come. Like so this Sinai sounds like Siman. Siman means a good omen. Okay. So Sinai, Siman. So the Gemara says still not accurate. So it should be called Har Sinai, not Sinai, Simonai or Simai. Why Sinai? A Simon, if it's Har related on a good omen, a good Simon, it should be called Har Simonai, not Har Sinai. Har Simonai mi boile. If it's a good omen, that's the reason why it's called by that name. It should be called Mount Simonai, not Har Sinai. The rabbi continues. Armaleh, Rav Kahana says to him, I was just testing you. I know the reason. I was at a shir last night. You missed it. It was a class. And you should have heard what was told, why it's called Har Sinai. And he says like this. My timer leschichas kamed Papa what you missed. Why did you not frequent Rav Papa and Rav Huna, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, these two rabbis who delved into Agada? Agada are the stories. Many of the Talmudic sages didn't put too much effort or time in Agadata, which is story, rather halacha. But you missed a good one. You missed a very powerful one. It would have answered your question. If you had only there, you would have known the answer to my question. In other words, if you were to be there, you would have a good answer to my question, but you weren't there. The Rav Chizda, the two rabbis, Rav Chizda and Rabbi, the son of Rav Huna, both said, "My Har Sinai. What is the meaning of the why is it called Har Sinai? Har sheyordo sinna lo malov. It means the mountain upon which God's hatred to idolaters descended. Sinai, like Sinna, even though one is spelled with a samach, one is spelled with a sin, but they are interchangeable. Sinai, Sinna, hatred, where God poured out his hatred not to people, some non-Jews, but to the idolaters of non-Jews, those that worship idols. This is in consonance. It fits with what Yeshua Bar Chanina once said. The following: Chamisha Shemos Yeshlo. The vicinity, not just the Har, but the vicinity, the area around the mountain has 5 names. It's called Midbar Tzin, the Tzin Desert. Why Tzin? Because Jewish people were commanded. It is so because the Jewish people were commanded, like tzivui. So therefore, Tzin represents commandment. It's called Midbar Kodesh, a holy desert. It is also called that way because the Jewish people were sanctified upon it, as we just mentioned. Hashem gave us a very holy name. He called us a holy nation, and we were there at the holiest time in history. Midbar Kedemot. It's called Midbar Kedemot, the desert of Kedemot. Why Kedemot? Shetnitna Keduma Allah. It is so because the primordial Torah, the Torah which preceded the existence of the world, Keduma means before, preceding. Kedemot, like Keduma, that which preceded the existence of the world was given to us. Midbar Paran, interesting. Why is it called also Midbar? The area around Har Sinai is called Midbar Paran. Look at the next page. Why is it called Midbar Paran? And the answer he gives later on the next page is, 1 second. Hold on. Oh, no. It's, yeah. Wait a second. Wrong, just skip the pages? Oh, yeah, that's the pages are not in order. Skip the next, go to the next page after this. Goes to 2 pages later. It's out of order. Why is it called Paran? A miracle happened. Shaparu v'rovu alel Yisrael. It is called because the Jewish people that night after Matan Torah, multiplied next to it, meaning every single family had a male child. Every woman was conceived and had a male child was born later, 9 months later. So at the night after Matan Torah, every single couple that were able to be together, because when she's Anida, they can't. Every couple that were able to be together in her non-Nida days, she conceived, and every one of them had a Ben Zohar. That's what the Gemara means to say. Every single Jewish couple that were able to be together, halachically, conceived a Jewish baby, a male child. Huh?
Right there.
The night after. That was the night after Mount Torah. But that mountain gave the strength that every Jew should have this bracha, that Jews should multiply. And Midbar Sinai, here's why is it called Midbar Sinai? That's when anti-Semitism began. When did anti-Semitism begin? Not 50 years ago, not 100 years ago. When the Torah was given, the non-Jewish world felt horribly jealous, and they could not tolerate that the Jewish people were given the title, the chosen people. They didn't want to accept the Torah, but the fact that Jews did bothered them to no end, and to today's day, it's still going on. They might not even know why, but there is a hidden hatred to many not all non-Jews have this, but many non-Jews have this hatred, built-in hatred. Either it's overt, it's open, they let you know that they hate you, or it's very, very subtle and very hidden, but it's there. Chorev Shemo, and the real name of the har is Chorev. That's its real name. All the other names are nicknames. Chorev is its real name. Upligad Rabavo, this disputes the statement of Rabavo. Dam Rabavo once said, Har Sinai is the real name, but why is it also called the mountain of Chorev? Chorev sounds like Churban, destruction. Because this ruined, it became a ruining, it became a destruction to the idolaters. It destroyed them. When the Torah was given to the Jewish people, it destroyed the power of the idolaters. So that's why it was given a nickname, Har Chorev. In other words, the real name is Sinai, that's its name, and Chorev is a nickname. Okay, turn back to the previous page. Something's out of order here. She made the pages not in order. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe turn that way. So take a look at third. Yeah. Page 89B2, that page. Last page. You have it, 89B2? Take a look at top of the page. Okay. The second line on the left side of the page, it says, at a future time, Hashem will say to Avram Avinu the following, Banecha chatuli, your children have sinned against me. Amalapanav, Avram will reply before him, something very strange. I wanted to also mention before, someone asked, how could you say every single Jew had a male child? We find that there were 5 girls, daughters of Tzlevcha, who only had girls. There were no boys in that family. But if it said that after Matan Torah, every married couple conceived a boy, then how come the 5 daughters of Tzlevcha didn't have any brothers? Not that they had and the brothers died, they never had any brothers. So it's clear they never had any brothers. So the answer is because the father of these 5 girls were not, and father and mother were not allowed to be together. Mother was a nida. So that's ones who it only happened the first night. Only if you were able to be together with your husband the first night after the Torah was given did you have that schus of conceiving, being pregnant. But those that missed out that night because he was not pure, then of course miracle would not go on for more than one night. So that miracle, the night after Matan Torah, that's the night when every single woman every woman able to conceive. Okay, so here we have an interesting Gemara. What did Hashem tells Avraham Avinu in the future? What am I going to do with your children? They're sinned. How am I going to bring Mashiach? They've sinned. The Jewish people are not observing Torah. What does Avraham Avinu answer? Shockingly, if that's the case, if they sinned, let their names be erased. Al Kiddush Hashem. Wipe them off. Avraham Avinu. Right. So we'll get to the question that everyone asks, and how can this make any sense? But this is what Avraham Avinu seemingly says. Master of the universe, let them be obliterated, erased for the sanctity of your name. Omar, so unsatisfied with this reply, Hashem is not happy with this. Hashem wants to hear someone being melamed zchus on the Jewish people. He doesn't want to hear anything like that. He doesn't want to hear such, such words. I'm going to soon explain what Avram Avinu actually meant, because a simple shot is very hard to accept. Avram would say, Avram is chesed. He would say, get rid of them. And what word did he use? He didn't say mechen, mechik, machkam. He said yimachu, they shall be. Yimachu, let them be. They shall be. They will be. Al kedusha shmecha. What did he mean by that? On the sanctification of your name. So I'm going to tell you right now, before we get to Yaakov and Yitzchak, what Avram meant, not God forbid, get rid of them. What he meant was every single Jew, as much as they sin, are willing to give their lives away al Kiddush Hashem. If the test would come, yimachu, they would erase their name al Kiddush Hashem. Every Jew has this power of Mesiras Nefesh, the Pintele Yid. I know they sin, but look, they're ready to give their lives away al Kiddush Hashem. If circumstances come, if push comes to shove and they have to give their lives away, they will. Yimachu, they will be ready to give their lives away. Hashem was still not happy. Because Avraham Avinu was not trying to find a schus for the Jewish people on a daily basis. Yeah, they have a Pintele Yid. We all have a core, but that's not who you are on a daily basis. I want to hear a limud schus, not only because every Jew has a soul and a shama, and even if they would have Mesiras, and even if they would be forced to die, they would be willing to die. That's too remote. Imagine, you're going to be a mother soon, take your little child to PTA meetings, and a teacher's going to say to your child has great potential. He has a holy neshama, and he has a chelik l'kam yimal mamash. How's he doing? He has a chelik l'kam yimal mamash, and he has potential. But how is he doing in class? I've just told you, he has potential. Is that what you want to hear? What you want to hear? You want to hear, how is he behaving? What kind of marks he gets? He's not satisfied by knowing he has potential, or that he has a holy neshama. So likewise, Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, I don't want to hear this whole big. I know that's every Jew, and that's not their work. That's not avodah, by the way. That's God given to them. You can't brag about the fact I have a neshama and I would give my life away. You know why you would do that? Because you were given a God-given soul, which you had no control over. What about your avodah? What do you do on a daily basis? That's what I want to hear. I want to hear limud schus on that. And that Avram didn't afford them. Then he asked Yaakov. Hashem asked Yaakov. There's another translation that I heard another translation of what Avram meant. Avram Avinu was trying to say that he didn't want the Satan to understand him, so he was very vague, and he said, erase all their iniquities. Get rid of all the tumah. You're God. You can get rid of it. Get rid of all the tumah. If they sin, get rid of it. Yimachu. Let all the sins be erased. Let all the schmutz that they acquired through their sin, let that be erased. Not they shall be erased, eliminated. Their sin should be eliminated. But they said it in such a way where you could learn shot that they meant the Jews to be. You know why they said it that way? Because Avram did not want the Satan to start. He wanted the Satan to be happy and not prosecute. So he said it in such a way where the Satan will be happy and leave him alone. But that's what he really meant. But Hashem understood what Avram meant, and he still wasn't happy. I don't want to erase. I want you to find a schutz for them, and you're not doing that. So Hashem comes to Yaakov Avinu. Amar le Yaakov, the Havalei Tzagid L'Bonim. Yaakov really understood what it means to suffer to have children, and he went through a lot of pain with Yosef and also with Reuben and Shimon and Levi and Binyamin. He understands. I figured he's going to give me a good answer. Perhaps he will ask me to have mercy upon them. On Malay, so Hashem will say to Yaakov, if they sinned, Hashem tells Yaakov, your children have sinned. Yaakov will reply before him, and when Mashiach will come, right before Mashiach comes, Yaakov is going to reply, if that's the case, Yimachol al Kedusha Hashem, the same exact answer that Avram Avinu gave. Let them be obliterated, or let their sins be obliterated, or they are whatever shot you want to use. But Hashem was not happy with that answer. Omar, loy b'savi taima v'loy b'dardaki etza. There's savi means like the old one, the grandpa. Dardaki is the grandchild. The grandfather of all the three of us. There's no reason. There's no reason there. I don't like their answer. There's neither reason among the elders nor counsel among the youth. Dardaki are little children, or like the grandchild. Yaakov was the youngest of the three. He's the grandchild, third generation. Amalei Yitzchak. Now Hashem comes to Yitzchak. Banecha choteli, your children have sinned against me. What was Yitzchak's response? Excuse-moi. Your children? What, they're my children? You're saying your children have sinned and they're not your children? Let me correct you. You mean our children, not my children. Banecha, say banenu, our children. So right away he says to Hashem, they're children, they're your children. In other words, if you're children, you have to have rachmanas on them. You're a father. You're a father. First of all, you're a father. And number two, it's not as bad as you're making it. How bad is it already? How much sins do they do already? Look what Yitzchak does. Yitzchak is Gevura, and Gevura knows how to dissect and take apart every little tiny detail. Scrutinizes, which Avraham and Yaakov didn't do. He says like this. Number one, master of the universe, my children and not your children? Don't say that. Our children. Or your children. When the Jewish people said Nasav and Ishma, you called them my son, my firstborn son. You called them my son, my firstborn. And now all of a sudden you disown them? They're not behaving, but they're not strangers. They're your children. They're my children and not your children. What happened all of a sudden? Pretty sharp. But furthermore, how much after all could they have sinned already? How long does a person live? Average size per person, 70 years. First 20 years don't count. Hashem does not punish. Down here they can punish, but Hashem does not punish people until their age of 20. Doesn't mean that you can get along the Hefkevel, you do what you want until you're 20. Just means that Hashem doesn't punish in this world before the person is 20. So therefore, the sins before 20 don't count. So it's 50 years. 50 out of the 70 that we're talking about. Kamos, again, how long does a person live? 70 years, let's say. Some more, some less. Dal Estrin, take away the first 20 since you don't punish a person for them. There's a lot of talk about this. What exactly does this mean? We'll leave that out. 70 minus 20, first 20 years don't count, so there's 50 years of sin. Okay. Dal Estrin. The sin we're talking about here is mainly the sin of not learning Torah. Okay? Referring to the men who waste their time at night, waste their time during the day and do not learn. So Yitzchak said, wait a second, nighttime is a time for sleeping. So you can't blame them for things, for night not learning. As a result, chop off all the nights of all the 50 years. You only have 25 years because night, 12-hour day, 12-hour night. So it's only the daytime. 50 years of day, but not 50 years of night. That's equivalent to 25 full years, day and night. 50 half days is like 25 full days. Or full years, that is, of days. Dal means remove, subtract. Take away the 25 years, which are nights, and at night people are involved in preparing for bed, going to sleep, and there's no learning going on. There are 25 left. 25 years, okay. Let's divide 25 into half. Because half the day you're davening, you're learning, and Hashem wasn't complaining about the people who know nothing, but people who do know, who are from and do learn. So 25 years, not all 25 years are sinning. Divide that in half, because there's the eating, and then there's the learning, going to the bathroom. At these times, during these times, no one's sinning. Dal tarti sri upalga. Take away 12 and a half, which are spent praying, eating, and in the bathroom. So you have 12 and a half years of sin. Tarti sari upalga. There are only 12 and a half years of potential sin left. Okay, so if you will shoulder them all, take it on yourself to forgive them for all 12 and a half years, fine. The imlav, and if not, too much for you to take, I'll take 6 and a half, and you'll take 6 and a half. The Imtim Salayim Kulam Alai, and if you're going to say no, you got to take all of them. I did already enough. Hakredus Nafshi Kamach. I already gave my life for you at the Akedah. So that's already enough. So I think it's only fair for you to take half, and I'll take the other half. Pascho v'yomro, after hearing Yitzchak Avinu's defense of them, the Jewish people will open their mouths and say, Ki ata Avinu, you, Yitzchak, of all our forefathers, you are the true father. Amalehem Yitzchak. So Yitzchak will say, don't give me any praises. Instead of lauding me, laud the one, Lord Hashem, he is the true father. I'm nothing. And Yitzchak will indicate, point to the Abish himself before their eyes. This is going to happen when Mashiach comes. Miyad, immediately, Nasu Eineim Lamorim, they will lift their eyes up to above, and they'll all say, Ata Hashem Avinu Gayalenu. And you, Hashem, are our Father, our Redeemer, from the time immemorial is your name. This is what the Gemara says here. This is the end of this speech with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Take a look at footnote 27. Oh, it's when it's late. Yitzchak has the excuse, I had an Esav. I loved him. He wasn't a very good boy. And yet I loved him. And yet you can't love. I'm a boss of Adam. I'm a human being. I'm limited in my Rahmanas. You can't forgive the Jewish people for the sins that I just decreased to 6.5 years. He sinned all his life to me, Esau. Esau was a sinner, and Yitzchak knew it. But yet he loved him. He tried to be Mekar of him all the time. Maybe I can bring out, his potential. And you can't. This is why Yitzchak was, of the three of us, was the one, because Abraham didn't send away Yishmael. Yes, at first he said, Yishmael, wow, I'm so happy with Yishmael. Then he and Sarah convinced him to kick him out. And Yaakov was very strong. He gave strong musar to his son, Shimon ben Levi. He reprimanded them. He said harsh words to Shimon and Levi, they're the ones that sold Yosef. They killed out the whole city of Shem. He wasn't happy. He gave them. He gave them over the head. But Yitzchak was kind to Esau, even though Esau was far worse than Shimon and Levi. So Yitzchak is the one that can talk. Just like Rachel, you may know. When it comes to, also the Jewish people came out of, coming into Golus, Rachel cries out to Hashem and says, Hashem, here it says Moshe failed, Aaron failed, Abraham, Yitzchak also failed, and Yaakov failed. And Rachel says, wait a second, I'm a boss of Adam, I'm a human being. You know what it felt to lose Yaakov, my sister Leah, and yet I gave her the Simonim. Siras Nefesh, for my sister, who was put there instead of me, with my beloved husband. You know what pain that was for me? And yet I helped her, because she shouldn't be mortified and embarrassed. You can't forgive the Jewish people? You infinite rachamim, you can't do it? And Hashem says, whoa, you got me there. Hashem says, Mini Bechi, stop crying, Rachel. You have my promise that I will help out your children. In Golus, I will give them salvation, even though they will be in Golus for a while. So this is Rachel Imenu, but in the future, Yitzchak Avinu will finally succeed in getting Hashem to once and for all stop the Golus and bring Mashiach. This is the end of this topic of Matan Torah. This is really the Matan Torah Sugya. Sugya? Mother Sugya.
Yeah.
Topic. I want all your, when you get married, when you go dating, tell your cousin, what's a Sugya? So the Sugya of Matan Torah is in Tractate Shabbos. There are 3 blocks. Starts on 80 Pei Vav on the base, and it goes all the way up till Pei Tes, 86b to 89a. Tell them also the pages. Okay, you know what a Sugya is? Where's the Sugya of Matan Torah with Masechta? I don't know. I don't know where it is. It's Tractate Shabbos. Huh?
What is Sugya?
Sugya is Aramit. Aramit. But it's a famous word.
Yeah.
What Sugya are you learning? Okay, so you learn one word today. Have a great Shabbos and Kabbalah Safed of Simcha of Benimias. Meaningful Simcha, meaningful Shavuos. And it should be the first Shavuos in Yerushalayim Merakedet with Mashiach L'Keinu. Whatever at making with the hand like this to all of us.